Everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, plus 3 wins in a row after a heartbreaking defeat. I thought we just random. Knowing Isaac, if you did that, the game would probably explode. ND, J2, Ra, 9Z. Don't get hit by this. It's been a few days. Been a few days since I played Isaac. You know that classic song? It's called Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. Not to be confused with the Joker song, which is called Rock and Roll Part 2 and is by someone who shall not be named. Been a long time since I've rolled D6. Been a long time, but I don't know the rest of the lonely. And then you go into a little bit of Sting and the Police. So lonely. Can I ask you a question? How many bands can you name where the lead singer is not the most famous member of the band? There are some, don't say none. Okay, Sting and the Police is obviously not a good example, because Sting is by far the most famous member of the Police. There's a couple that I think are like fairly obvious, like, I don't know. Hold on, that's a reroll waiting to happen. So is this, to be honest, but like, I think one of the easiest examples is Fall Out Boy, where more people know about Pete Wentz because he dated and maybe married, I don't know, or care, Ashley Simpson. Back when there were 2 Simpsons on TV that were equally popular. The Simpsons, and then everyone related to Jessica Simpson by blood or other bodily fluid. Sorry, that was needlessly nasty. I'd like a bomb, please. No such luck. All I'm saying is Jessica Simpson was everywhere in 2004, okay? Not only was she on TV in the Newlyweds, and she had a recording career. On top of that, she also had a supporting / starring role as Daisy Duke in The Dukes of Hazzard. You thought Hollywood remake culture had only gotten bad in like the 2010s? How about Johnny Knoxville and Stifler in The Dukes of Hazzard, featuring the breakout / only / career defining role of Jessica Simpson? Anyway, hold on. So Pete Wentz, more famous than Patrick Stump, if I remember, if I'm remembering this correctly. Other examples get a little harder. Tommy Lee, who I always almost say Tommy Lee Jones. I can't believe we didn't get any other consumables. It's a very disappointing floor for me. Tommy Lee is almost certainly more famous than Vince Neil, the lead singer, of Motley Crue. Then you get into some questionable ones, right? Like, is Slash more famous than Axl Rose? Certainly, the answer to that question, 15 years ago would be no. But Slash has kept busy. He's toured solo. He's been part of other bands. Axl Rose just kind of like guy, like really angry. Now, admittedly, the band is not called Guns and Slashes. Although that fits as well. Just in a more violent way. But I feel like, perhaps Slash is more famous than than Axl Rose now. He's at least closing in on that level. Apart from that, all I can think of is like the Jay Giles band, but nobody even knows who they are except me. They're the "My blood runs cold, my memory has just been sold." Angel is the centerfold. But that's only because the band is named after the guitarist. The singer was, Dr. Hook, something like that? I can't remember. Maybe it's not Dr. Hook, it might just... I don't know if he got his doctorate. Jim Hook? I can't remember his name, alright? I'll work on it, I'll get back to you. Didn't mean to walk into that. That's my bad. I don't know if... Oh, no, be cool. I don't know if I can name any other bands where the lead singer is not the most famous. Like, okay... I don't know. Like, the only other example that was coming to mind doesn't even make sense. Because it's Rush. Why doesn't it make sense? Well, Geddy Lee is the most famous. He is the singer, but he's also the bassist. But you can be a lead singer and also... I didn't get hit. And also be the lead bassist / only bassist. Most of the time you don't have... One person can play 2 basses, you know? I can't believe we didn't get hit here. I also would love a consumable, although I recognize we did lose that key due to our own actions. Due to mine own hands. No. No. I need this. I need this. I don't need this. A little slow right now. I'm gonna Google it after this is over, because I'm sure there's some examples I can't think of. I was even going back to, like, boy bands. I mean, I guess there's, like... Is there a lead singer to, you know, in the Backstreet Boys? Or NSYNC? Maybe not, but let's be honest. If there were, it would be Nick Carter, who is the most famous Backstreet Boy. And Justin Timberlake, who is the most in sync of all the boys in sync. I don't know, it's an interesting question. Feel like as the singer, even if you don't write the songs, you get way more attention than everybody else in the band. You know, the #1 example I think of all the time is Maroon 5. Who I don't care if you like them, I think that's fine, you know, but I do not like them. And by the way, if you're like, yeah, I get it, you hate them and you think everyone who listens to them sucks. Not true. My wife loves Maroon 5, and as a result, I've grown to tolerate it. We will, but it's spiced, brother. It is spiced up. We will go to our curse room at least. This is a very cursed run, except for Incubus so far. Like in Maroon 5, even though I don't listen to them, I know the lead singer is Adam Levine. I could not tell you even a sniff of the remaining members' names. I have no idea. Tim Guitar is obviously the lead guitarist, and he goes pretty hard. Tim Guitar, he doesn't mess around, brother. Okay, hold on. I mean, we're just gonna have to lead the floor, I think. Bands where the singer isn't the most famous. Bands whose lead singer isn't the most famous member. Please list some. Okay. Someone said Metallica. I would definitely... I would disagree. They opened the door for me. I think. I think I will take Tech 2, even though it's modestly spiced. I want the penetration. I know, you said the P word, but like, we needed it here. We needed something at least, I think. I think if we just go up and down enough, we might be able to open the shop as well. I'm not going to do this too long. I'll do this till 8 minutes, because it's kind of disorienting as well. I'm hoping to get the shop to open up by moving downwards, but... Hold on. Hold on! How's that for a lazy play? Anyway. We got more out of this than you would have expected. I know the lead singer of Metallica is James Hetfield. Is Lars Ulrich or Kirk Hammett, are they more famous? I don't think so. And then someone said Red Hot Chili Peppers. That one it's a pretty good guess, actually. I still think Anthony Kiedis is more famous than Flea. But Flea, you know, it might be close. And for a while, maybe John Frusciante as well. I mean, I've literally found like a music forums thread from 10 years ago. That's where we're at in Isaac. I'm mining forum content. Let me see what else here. Motley Crue. Oh, yeah. Easy. Fall Out Boy. Dude, I independently was so smart. Van Halen. That's okay. You know what? Van Halen makes sense because Eddie Van Halen is not the frontman, right? He's a guitar player, maybe? I don't know. I might be confused on my Van Halen history. Then someone, by the way, said Guns N' Roses. See? Even in 2008. I can't believe like that some of the first suggestions in this thread were some of the things that popped into my head as well. Nothing makes you feel smarter than that. Who we got here? Fall Out Boy. The Wu-Tang Clan? That doesn't count. That's a collective. Man, this forum is so... it is... I cannot tell what a root post is here. The Beach Boys? Okay, that's fair. That's actually a good example. In the Beach Boys, you would probably consider Mike Love the default lead singer, even though they are an ensemble. But Brian Wilson is the most famous Beach Boy. It's an interesting question. Now, I gotta tell you, I'm glad it's an interesting question, because this Isaac episode has all the inklings of one that goes on for a long, long time. I'm very, very, very happy to have Incubus, and we did, and I acknowledge this 100%, we did take a damage downgrade when we took Tech 2. But I think it's worth it for Piercing Shot and Infinite Range. But that could come back to bite me. But it's a calculated risk. It was not an unintentional mistake. Let me put it that way. You know, another one I didn't think of? Surely The Who. Pete Townsend is more famous than Roger Daltrey, I think. I feel, or even Keith Moon. I feel like if you had to, if I surprised somebody on the street and went, hey, name a member of The Who, they would be like, I can't name any. But then I'd be like, okay, you, in the classes, name a member of The Who. They'd be like, Pete Townsend. And I'd be like, speak up, have some self-confidence. And they'd be like, Pete Townsend. I'd be like, you're darn right, Pete Townsend. Okay, take. I honestly think we want to fly and then re-roll these two items. Hello, darkness, my old I have come to I mean, it's not really that bad, but you know, we didn't need to pay 2 very valuable red hearts for the ability to fly if we were also just gonna get Spirit of the Night. But it is what it is. Technically, we didn't get nothing from Spirit of the Night. We got Spectral Tears for Incubus. Very high value upgrade. Things are a little spooky, but like most of these rooms are not really that bad. Even though we're on, you know, the worst possible version of this floor, in terms of like enemy strength. It's always an interesting question. I always thought, you know, the lead singer gets too much credit. I mean, they are the singer, and in most pop music especially, the singer's voice is probably what garners most of the attention. So I'm not saying it's completely unfair or, you know, it's not based in reality. I'm just saying, you know, I just thought the singer got a little bit too much credit. You know, if I never really had designs on being in a band. I was never like in a band in high school or anything. Don't leave. Don't leave. I was so confident I was gonna get hit there because I moved right in its path. We got so lucky, dude. But I think, you know, I would be perfectly content being a bassist. I don't care about the you know, oh, well, the bassist, he is the player in the band that gets mocked the most. That doesn't bother me. Some of my favorite songs have, like, just killer bass lines. Yo, you're gonna disrespect... Oh, we'll try it, I guess. You're gonna disrespect Kim Deal? cats do not like that, let me tell you. Anyway. You're gonna disrespect Gettard Lee? First of his name? Father to Rickon? I like a song with a good bass line. I also, I mean, of course, a drummer as well. But, you know, in our circle of friends, I have to admit, Malf is, he's a better drummer than I am. He's got a better natural sense of rhythm. There's no shame in that. So Malf can drum. I'll do bass. Austin can sing. And, someone can learn to play the guitar real quick. Electric, please. We're not making elevator music here. Thank you for the HP. I'm so grateful. It's been a little touchy here, but this is a good floor for us. We lived through the grace of God on that one. We got to deal with the devil chance on this one. Now, feeling like we probably shouldn't have yeeted Guppy's collar so quickly, but Guppy's collar is not really worth anything most of the time unless you get other Guppy items. So I don't feel too badly about it. But certainly if we'd known then what I know now, or as Wes Anderson would say, when I was younger. Might have made some different decisions. I'm always surprised, you know. Okay, if we're talking about music, you know, what's a song that instantly makes you think of a movie? You know? Like, there's some really easy ones, like Don't You Forget About Me by the English Beat. Does that do that, Spy? Don't you forget about me. Even though I have not seen The Breakfast Club, I know I should. I should do a lot of things. It fills me with a sense of melancholy, and I get what the song is going for right off the bat. It's kind of like, it feels like a perfect movie song. But I also feel like, you know, from Rushmore, I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger. I'm surprised that one has not made it into the grocery store rotation. Instead, when I'm at the grocery store, I have to hear the Friends theme song every time. Oh, you mean I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts? Yeah, I mean I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts, Alex, for 100. One of those songs I'm always surprised that it has a second verse. I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't NBC lock that in a cold storage facility 100 miles below the surface of Los Angeles, California, where it was filmed in front of a live studio audience, so the audience would know when to laugh and when to go, woo!
Friends till the end.
I got nothing against Friends. Till the end or otherwise. It's not, I prefer Seinfeld, obviously. And I will say, Seinfeldians, you know, they have a snob issue when it comes to conversations they have with people who like Friends more than Seinfeld. Because people who like Friends more than Seinfeld, oh sorry, people who like Seinfeld more than Friends, refuse to acknowledge that it's even a debate. They feel slighted that it's even a conversation. And that's not fair, just because we disagree. But I will say there are times where I'm like, people on Twitter are still debating this? How can they debate? Seinfeld is just better. Except for that weird first season where Jerry and Elaine, like, they're clearly setting up some kind of, like, relationship between them that does not make sense once you follow the entire... It just feels weird, you know? But everything else, of course. I just think Larry David is, like, one of the funniest comedy writers in history. In fact, I could not think of a funnier comedy writer. Right now, at least. I don't know, maybe Mel Brooks, but he's also a little bit before my time. So most of my, you know, reverence for Mel Brooks is kind of like, I don't know, it's like contemporary anachronisms, you know? Like, the jokes that he made back then, they're still relevant, but at the same time, are not as relevant, maybe, as they were at the time. So you kind of appreciate them through the eyes of others. But Larry David is so good at writing comedy, even though some of those more recent Curb seasons haven't been super even, that sometimes I will come up with a joke or a bit, and I'll be mad at myself because it sounds like it's biting a Larry David bit that does not exist. Like, he's so clever that he makes you feel like you stole a joke that you wrote yourself just because it sounds like something he would have written, if that makes sense. Like, I was talking to Kate the other day, and she was, we were having the stew for dinner, and I had gotten these bowls out, and she was like, "Why did you get these bowls out? These aren't good stew bowls. They're too big." And I was like, "We need to use these bowls because the big bowls go in a different cupboard than the normal size bowls. And that cupboard is full because we don't have much dish debt right now." And she was like, "What the heck is dish debt?" I was like, dish debt. Dish debt are dirty dishes that you carry, like a healthy business carries fiscal debt sometimes because you don't have space in your cupboards to put them. I know you're like, "What are you talking about?" And that's what she said as well. If every dish in our house is clean, there's no place to put all the dishes. You gotta cram them into the cupboards. We live in a small place. It's the same with like laundry. If every piece of clothing in our home was cleaned, some of it would become dirty because we would have to leave it out. We have to carry, like a G7 nation, we have to carry a certain amount of dish and laundry debt. If we don't carry that, there's no place for all the surplus to go. It's like having extra budget at the end of a fiscal year. You gotta spend it, but we got nothing to spend it on, so it would just go into the floor. So, we carry a little bit of dish debt and a little bit of laundry debt. And when I came up with that, I was like, "That's genius." And then a second later, I was like, "People are gonna think you stole that from Larry David." It's not as clever as, the muffin top or whatever, but it's a start. Gosh darn it. So I forgot what our other item was up there. It's Tammy's head. I'd rather re-roll this. Just because it's closer. They're both actives that we can't afford to get rid of the D6 to use, so. And is this run coming together? Not really. Not yet. It has a ways to go, let's put it that way. Particularly until I see the damage stat come up, I'm not gonna be like too jazzed, but it could definitely be worse. It's better than it's ever been, don't get me wrong. Anyway, so that's where I stand on that debate, in case I haven't mentioned it 300 times, which I almost certainly have. I still watch Seinfeld, because you can't not watch Seinfeld if you have cable. I know I'm one of those guys who's not cut the cord yet. We don't need to go down this road for the 500th time. That's going to give us a charge just in time. I like having cable, and it's my money, so shut it, basically. Plus, everybody's like, why don't you just pirate everything? Because I work in media! Yo, that's helpful. It's like you're talking to a butcher, and you're like, yeah, I just steal food. From the bakery, though, not from you. I get that it's different. I would never put myself on the same level as, an actual craftsperson, or like in the media industry as, like an actual person with talent and merit, but, it does kind of feel that way sometimes. Like you're talking to somebody who owns like a restaurant, and you're like, yeah, I just pretend that the food made me sick, and they usually don't make me pay for it. We should win easily now, actually, with Proptosis. Unless the damage drop-off due to range is so high that it doesn't actually give us as much of a boost as we would expect it to. It's unfortunate, but it is a reroll pedestal. But we have a pedestal surplus as compared to the amount of rerolls given right now. But the run is looking a lot better. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, still having cable. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's Seinfeld's just on. I think cable, let me start by saying the train for cable has sailed. Once people that are, you know, in their 40s and 50s right now stop being customers, if you know what I mean, cable is screwed. I'm 30, and people my age, when they hear I have cable, are like, what's wrong with you? It's like, it's one step above having, like, a landline telephone. People are like, I just don't understand the purpose. I think with the streaming wars being where they're at right now, you know, cable had no chance against the streaming service ecosystem dominated like 90% by Netflix and 10% by a collection of other competitors. You just can't compete. You know, is 1/6 the price and it's got 100 times the content. Easy decision. But now that you know, there's Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Crave, which is a Canadian thing, but you know, CBS All Access, blah 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 blah. Like there's hundreds. HBO Max, you know. Now that there's so many of those, I think that the streaming ecosystem, who I am rooting for, to be honest, because it's just a much more convenient way to get this stuff delivered in the first place. It's vulnerable. I'm not saying I know how to run the business, by the way, because that's just absurd. But hold up here. Hold up. Could get that half price, but we have a reroll to use at a different location as well. But I feel like if cable ran like a We're Sorry Millennials bundle, where they were like, hey, you can get like, you know, 30 or 40 channels, and it's like $25 a month, people might actually give them the time of day again. But instead, I don't think they ever would. You know, instead they'll be like, well, the sports package is another $15, and along with that, you got to get Anglers Television for all those. Oh, are you a fishing lover? No? Well, great, you have to get it anyway. You know, they'll probably never go back as long as there's a healthy supply of boomers to milk out of their money for convenience's sake, myself included. But I think that they're missing a golden opportunity here. Maybe not. I mean, the only... I don't know, this is the 500th time I've said it. The only reason I use cable... There's two reasons. One is that I spend my entire life in my office here. Honestly, I don't know if we want either of these. Little Brim could be good, but I don't think we can afford the HP, because we'll be basically on zero if we get there. But anyway, I spend basically my entire life in my office. And when I leave my office, you know, if I want some passive entertainment, we don't have a smart TV. So I guess, you know, if we get a smart TV, things will probably fall into place there. I know, you know, we do have Netflix-enabled devices hooked up to the TV. You got a good point. But I move them around a lot because I also use them to stream on. Anyway, point is, the other reason is that sometimes I get paralyzed by choice on Netflix and end up not watching anything and instead spending, sure, why not? Instead spend 15 minutes looking for something to watch and then I go, I'm tired, fall asleep. So just to be able to, sometimes I kind of appreciate the restriction of cable where you're like, okay, there's 15 shows on right now and 13 of them are horrible. So which one of the 2 shows that are on right now do I actually want to watch the most? That's why I end up watching so many like B-tier movies, which I love. I would rather watch like, well, let's be honest, they're actually like C-tier movies, but I would rather watch like a C- movie than a B+. Which I don't think is unusual. I'm phrasing it as if like, you know, holds up spork, I am to Penguin of Doom, etc., etc. But I feel like most people would rather watch an entertaining spectacle than something that's perhaps, you know, merely competent. Even if the original, you know, premise A is spectacular for what might be considered the wrong reasons. I think we're finally starting to come together right now on this run. But I would never advocate for cable. It's a strictly inferior service. And honestly, most of the stuff... I mean, I use literally like 4 channels. I also, can I tell you something? I don't understand. In Canada, is a country of 30 million people. There are like 4 24/7 sports networks. I get that this might seem like the pot calling the kettle black, because I work in video games media. But I really don't understand how there's so much demand for sports content. I like sports, but like watching a game of hockey or football or basketball or soccer or whatever. Notice I didn't say baseball. I'm just joking, but like also, yeah. I can get down with it. That's no problem. What I find annoying is then it's like, you know, so the average sports channel, and I'm sure this is true in the rest of the world as well. I'm sure this just like the model is solved and this is just how it works. I will try this, which means I don't know. Maybe we don't want permanent Polaroid invincibility. Maybe we'd rather just have 1 more HP for survival reasons right now. But what I was gonna say is it's like, okay, from 7 to 10 p.m., the Canucks game is on. From 10 p.m. till 2 a.m., the exact same 1 hour of sports highlights play over and over and over again. And then, you know, overnight, top 50 worst replays of all time. Wow, what was that guy thinking? And then at like 9 a.m., probably earlier actually, all the radio shock jocks come on. Hey, what was this professional athlete thinking when he made that boneheaded play? How can you sustain that much? Like, I like the Vancouver Canucks, but I also recognize, you know, it's an entertainment property, and they're my favorite team because, you know, I live in the city where they play. You know, I have never had a desire after watching a Canucks game. You know, maybe I'll read like an article that's like, how'd they play? Or I'll go to like the Canucks subreddit and be like, what's the consensus on this? But then the idea that, you know, there's actually like sports radio stations in Vancouver that like all day, every day, all they do is talk about the Vancouver Canucks. How do you not run out of things to talk about? This is where we enter pot calling the kettle black here. I can't see the shots. But you might be like, NL, it's hypocritical. You work in the video gaming industry. Yeah, but I also don't, like, as an adult at least, I don't understand the video gaming industry. It's kind of like, or like the media surrounding it. I'm not insulting the people who work in it, quite the opposite. I think it's a hard job, because I'm like, you know, I care about what people think about games when they release, and then I care about 1 out of every 1,000 news stories in the world of games. And that's it. When I'm like, you got so much news coming out, but no one cares. And by no one cares, I mean, of course, what everybody means when they say no one cares, which is I don't care, but probably people do. So I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's been a long run, brother. So we're going to reroll all that stuff back there. I really appreciate the Spirit Heart above all else, but I'm going to try to get some big rerolls going. If we can kill you last, okay, we will not kill you last. I guess it's a real positive that we got such incredible damage that we can accidentally kill enemies super quickly. That's extremely helpful. But we're in dire need of just probably like 3 or 4 more Spirit Hearts. The flies will help, don't get me wrong. Now, this is a run, by the way, that we have won due to a combination of luck and skill. But luck did keep us alive a couple of times. This easily could have been a loss, and in fact was probably more likely to be a loss at multiple points throughout the run. So I'm grateful just to be nominated, you know? To be still alive here is a big one. Still 4 pretty useless items back there, no offense. And again, you know, it might seem like we're set. It doesn't take much for the run to get real complicated. You know, one fire mind shot at an inopportune time. Oh, I did not mean to pick up the quarter. By the way, one fire mine shot at an inopportune time. Hello, Ruka. Oh my god, we got a Demon Heart, thank you. Thank god we didn't open the spike chest back there. You know, that's how slim the margin is right now. I cannot believe that even still we are bereft of a useful item there. And I mean, I am fishing for things that are, you know, really in the top few % of Isaac items or HP. But still. Most important thing here, I think, that's super helpful. We must have had a Serpent's Kiss, like, fruitcake kill. Most important thing, I think, is just don't get close enough to use Maw of the Void. Okay, I count my lucky stars we made it through that one, but for now, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!